한개 두개 예수네 따와담지 방배치 담배 춘이 던져봐 거동들어 차자로 나 시릭 시에 토리아 지레로 주디 가투이네 거 따와도 되어요 싫어 안 투치물이야 가투이네 몰라시 자기요 다 고가소래 직업증 부여래 내 쇼마를 지나서 캔그래 and now before I start a brief introduction of myself. And the other thing is I can't sit down. I have to move. Okay. Now, while you do that, I'll just go through my introduction also. I am not a stranger to this sacred country called India. In fact, I was raised in India. I studied in Punjab University, Chandigarh, up to my master's. And also I did my B.Ed, or Bachelor of Education. Then in the United States, in 1990, I went to the United States. And then again, I studied there in the University of California, Irvine, to get my teacher education credentials for California. Since then, I worked for 17 years and retired in 2016. Now, just a general layout. You call it lecture. For me, it's not a lecture. This is, for me, a workshop. It's like a professional development. Now, the purpose is for how to develop skills in reading English. My audience is just the students, not the professors. They know more than me. Okay? So not for them. It is for the students. For the students, then what I'm going to do is we're going to go through the reading. Yeah.
When you will say next slide, I'll do that.
Oh, good,
please,
good.
Please.
So I'm going to do the reading skills. So when we do the reading skills, before we do that, I want to give you a little background of the United States education system. The first one is progressive education movement, started in mid-late 19th century. It was mainly started by John Dewey, my favorite philosopher. John Dewey started the movement in the United States to revolutionize the education system. In parallel, means at the same time, in Europe, the movement also started. In Europe, that movement was called the New School. Now, the main point of that movement was to change, to revolutionize the teaching method. Sometimes we use the word pedagogy. It's an archaic word, classic word. Nowadays, we don't use that word. Nowadays, we say instructional strategies. So the new revolutionized instructional strategy is called child-centered. Now, what else was that movement about? Learning by doing. So the ngunjur onyong sorla tembegi sheyun lopso did it. Chigma, do you mind if I speak some Tibetan?
Please carry on.
The Karsuarsina Lobun of Chigma Shejan she Nyang che unless Saviche. The Marines word. Tadi learning by doing innovative, subtle change, lots of the contagious. 개개인의 랭겐 속어디 롭주 솔이야 시행이 용어지 용어야. You need to get an experience of your learning. To provide that opportunity, to provide that facility is the responsibility of your teachers or your professors. But the main objective, the main purpose of that process of learning is to gain an experience. That is really important. That's called learning by doing, innovative. Now the next concept is how you're going to get an experience. There are only three ways to get an experience, either by hearing, or by seeing, or by doing. 통도 예숨길 람네. 아니 내가 가리 책이 있네. 영화 준 거래. 영화 들을 땐베기 초로와 준 거래. 초와 들을 땐베 희연 준 거래. 시제시 토구요. 네 시제디 정말 용절에 찌끄리 열어서는 요 말이. 말라비에기 가서되지 낭대로부터 직바에 직장 입에 있네. 수수수수 용하다 초월을 땜배 시제시 만들어야죠. 미 강사 수수를 시제 만들어야죠. 네 인지 민지 고래. 되면은 어구 비우 잡으래. 띄우 잡으래. 미 강시에지다 네 담도 rol지. 네 람 세달로 도대비나. 라랑 수수그 땀주그 라와 섬주그 라와 라버. 그 수수 맵스. 로벨라 소바당 아니 롭데블라 소바. 대 마이베 아니 세제 연den기 답이가 지금 유카리연에 되게 상마 튼제. 튼제의 배추 땅네 수수기 레버 뚝네. 수수수 섬 땅네. 따디 과카레도. 디 코도디 그 누바디 수수 용어를 땐 용어를 했어요. John Dewey philosophy. Learning by doing, child-centered. Child is important, student is important, not the philosopher, not the teacher, not the professor. The teacher, the professor is the facilitator. Did a concept. Same goes in Europe. Today, the best education system in Europe is Finland. You can Google, not now, but later. You can Google and see what kind of education system Finland has. They're the top. Public school system next. In America, no detention. Mandatory. What does that mean? Progressive education movement started one thing, that until you are 18 years of age in America, you have to go to school by law. If you don't go to school, your parents will be in problem. They'll go to jail. Okay? Now, when you are in school, from grade 1, 2, 3 to 12, there is no detention. What does that mean? That means if you are in 8th grade and you got F, so you failed. But the next year, you go to 9th grade. Your grade goes with your age. So when you are 12 plus, you graduate high school, provided you have 130 credits all. No detention. That means if you fail in grade 8, next year you don't stay. You don't repeat grade 8. You go to the next. Higher education, that is in the colleges and the university levels, we have accumulation of course credits. Again, undergrad, for example, is 4 years, supposed to be 4 years, but it's not written on stone. It depends. You may graduate before 4 years. You may graduate after 5 years. Depends on your pacing. All you have to do is you have to accumulate your credits. How many credits you must have? Most of the students will earn 35 credits in 1 year. If you do that all the way through, in 4 years you can graduate. But if you take less class than that, then it'll take longer. That's just the general background of the American education system. Dr. Mahesh, please. Thank you. Now, take a look at this graphic organizer. Now, this is the plan for today. Today, my plan is the reading. When I first started planning for this project or this program, I put development of reading and writing. But obviously, we have no time for writing. I may not even have enough time for reading. Because day before yesterday, Jambla told me 3 to 5, 2 hours. I thought I will have at least 6 hours. Normally when I give workshop, I do 6 to 7 hours. So do not write anything, please. Do not write, copy anything before I say. All I want you to do is get an experience. Experience of hearing me. Experience of seeing. Experience of seeing my wonderful face. That's just experience. That's the education today. Believe me, it's a wonderful education. It'll open up your mental eyes, not these eyes. Your mental eyes will open up. This is the structure I hope to finish today. My focus today is reading. You all know how to read. That's not my business. My business today is how, in what ways we can become effective readers. That'll be our focus. Now, to do that, how can someone be an effective reader? It means someone who is an intelligent reader, someone who's a smart reader. There are so many adjectives. But then how can you become a reader? That's our goal. To do that, follow the arrows. Theory. American education system, American instructional strategies are all based on research studies. It's based on educational psychology. It's based on child psychology. It's not like the previous old-time system. Now, if you follow the arrow, there's a theory, the Tupta, theory of readings. That will focus on the reading. So when we get some ideas of the reading theories, you will identify few strategies. What is a strategy? Tabchu. Tabchu. Nga tabchu to do. Chashibchu chusa chutu. Paya the chashibchu chusa chutu. Chashibchu chusa chu. Tabchu is it. If you wrote Paya the chashibchu chusa chu, it's a method. We're not talking about method. We're talking about strategy. A strategy is like a chess player. There's no one fixed rule. There's only a concept. You apply the concept, and then you strategize. Chu tingi tingi to yur. Chu tingi tingi doya matuji. Ta chiktu tablum direta siech yomar. Loyagi zelti ku zelti. The reading skill. If that is the case, then what happens? Strategy jungna. Then what happens? Skill. You will develop reading skill. Then you become an effective reader. You become a smart reader. You become an intelligent reader. Not just being able to read. That students at the kindergarten level do it. Now, question is, if you master all these skills, reading skills, and then what? What's next? It's more than comprehension. What you read, to understand that is only comprehension. But with the strategy, what you do is you construct knowledge. So, one same passage. Now, throughout, I will use the word text, T-E-X-T, text. Text would mean anything. A short piece of writing. It could be in a book. It could be a textbook. It could be anything, but a written literature. So, any text you read, right? It may be the same text, but different readers will construct different knowledge out of that text. And that is what we want. And you can do that only if you have skill. And you can get the skill, you can develop your skill if only you know how to apply strategies. And you will know what those strategies are if you study theories of reading. Those theories are based on experiment, testing again and again in different schools, in university schools, independent schools, and they come up with certain conclusions. And those then pass on to teachers. Like in America, I taught in a high school English. My subject is English. Sometimes I joke with them, with my students. I say, I came all the way from Tibet to teach you English. Now, can you please move to the next one? The other one experience I want you to get is by show of hands. How many actually wonder what that symbolism is? A hand with the key. Did anybody had a thought about what that could be? Anything? Raise hands. Anybody, if anybody had. You did not. I know. We always do that, right? In every single slide, you will see that image. A hand with a golden key. Okay? Now what that symbolizes. Can you go back to the previous slide? That's everything in that circle is in that golden key. The reading theory, the strategies, the skills you must develop, and the meaning that you can construct. It's in that key. Let's go to the next one. Now, notebook yorwal, notebook nam yorwa, notebook nam yona, KW chart is it, Sönarana, Doctor. Ani tango de nibadi. We go back, or just stay there. And 3 columns, and on the top, T chart, and K, what I know, W, what I want to know, L, what I want to learn. And the drawing in the column doesn't have to be straight. Make it real fast. Just, in America, we commonly say, just go boom, 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 boom. Just draw a line on the top, make 3 columns, just write K, W, L, and then what we're going to do is catch up with me. Now I'll go a little bit faster. So now, Dr. Mahesh, I'm sorry, can you go to the previous slide? There you go. What do you know already about strategy or reading skill or reading theory or constructing, knowledge about the reading? Anything at all. What do you already know? No essay writing, just bullet points. Tinarona in the K column. About reading skill, reading theory, or constructing knowledge. Usually, normally we say reading comprehension. We passed that already. You all are graduates or undergraduates, right, Dr. Mahesh? So I'm not going to insult your intelligence. We're not going to go for that. We're not going for reading comprehension. We're going for constructing knowledge from reading a text. Much higher level of cognition. We'll come about to that later. Okay? Right now, yakta duk dikta madik yomarta. So 강 temati 가르치는 거예요. 록젤 생애되기 꼬리야. 소수 가르치기. 단답도 가르치기. English 나리야. Bullet point just there's no right or wrong. Okay, now we go to the next slide. There you go. In this, you just write in bullet points. What do you know about reading skill? Reading, constructing knowledge of what you read, or reading strategies. Point signi sum kariyone. And then, today from me, what do you want to know about reading strategy, reading theories, or skills, or constructing meaning out of what you have read? What do you want to know? Just 3, 4, 5. There's no right or wrong. And I'm not going to look at it. So, this is all for yourself. And then, this column, you will leave it blank. At the end, we will come back, and you will then write the main points here. What did you learn from me today? What's your takeaway? Okay, so you have now 3 more minutes, and then we'll go to the next. No right or wrong, your own experience. When you're writing it, listen to your own silent voice. Listen to your own mind. Something is going on there. Maybe sometimes you're saying, maybe this is it. Maybe this has some connection. Yeah, I know this. I heard this before. Your mind is talking all the time. Active reader is always busy with their mind. That is called experience. Real experience. Maybe sometimes you're thinking, maybe this is not really the point. Well, that's okay. Crash it. Just scratch it. Write another one. And then what do you want to learn today? So you ask a question to yourself. What I want to learn today? You ask the question and you don't forget to listen because your mind is talking to you. It is telling you. The only thing is 2 important things. Listen to it and capture it in words. Write it down. That's an experience. Okay, very good. We'll go move to the next one. Now, at this point, I want you to drop your pens and look at my wonderful face. Exactly. We need to gain some experience in the learning process. The learning process is mutual between you and your teachers, you and your professors, you and yourself. With you and with yourself, and with you and your text, and with you and with the author of that text. It's an ongoing interaction. It's a process. is not one thing. It's a process. And that process becomes individualized. Like today, the little experience of filling out that KWL chart, it's different to different people. And that's the way it should be. We go to the next one now. What I just did, KWL guys do, psychologically speaking, based on a theory of reading, what we did, we just been trying to build our schema. What is schema? Le zindang. Kansa susu le zindang. Samlo tongdang. Yuk, xieje yuk, kanda jirine, telia susu kwa lendang. Tela susu tajo. Tela le zindang. It's all in a Tibetan psychology. In fact, much more detailed than the Western psychology. Lorignalia, se tajuyor. It's in psychology, it's a technical word, schema building. Has many meanings. But today, I'm using only as a mental model, which means how a specific function of our mind. If I was talking about this in the United States, I will say brain. But in our community, it's the mind. Activation of prior knowledge is a cognitive processing relating new information to the existing schema. Promotes internalized reading experience. Retention. The schema building le zindangi xieje yu condici tolly in el sosun rangun rangse su yebre. This schema re. Dick namsha junto parling and de Lobur to samlia yanachi lawyer. Yana peasants lobby, Yanachi me lobbying sungshish nangunata. Yana long yes taguna, Ditu lamya schema di activate you. So she will learn dangdi. When you look at one particular object, why do you think 16 people looked at the same object, 16 people have different perception of it? Because every individual has different schema. That's why. You look at an apple, everyone will take for granted and say, we all saw an apple. But if you do an analysis, actual analysis, everyone has a different perception of that same object of an apple. That's because the perception of that apple is influenced and it's mixed and it's connected with your already pre-existing knowledge of apple, which is called schema. And in modern education, knowing this, therefore we tailor our education, our instructional system to gear to the differences of learners. We create environment in such a way that it fits to all levels and all differences of mentality. And about this, I mean, you all know, Tibetan lyric, for example, has so much detail. So now we got the definition. That's what we did. That KWL chart that we tried to fill in regarding one particular topic, that is reading strategies, skills, and so forth. What I did was activated your pre-existing knowledge. Now, another way to explain about schema, because it promotes retention. Why? That's because if you don't activate your schema, sometimes schema is explained like this. In your brain, there are holes. So the new knowledge go through this. And at the end of the session, you forget what you learned, what you heard, what you saw. But activization of schema will close that gap. And the new knowledge, the new information will then retain, will stay there. That's another aspect, dimension of schema building. Let's move to the next one, please. Theories of reading. Where did we get this from? Dr. Mahesh, I'm sorry, I have to give you so much work today. Shall we go back to the second slide? There you go. Theory. A and B. A and B. I have only 2 hours today. I'm not going to go in detail with the theory because I really want to focus on this. So, theory. Now let's go back. Let's go forward to theory. Theory of reading. Lokze kolia dubda mawazu karsungudo. Nyamshi nang zezu nang bege tatum dilia. Loya ge zeldi nubadi nuzeldi. Susule yonga chebelia tablam kardo. Du chebina yaudu. Du chebina yaje dugdu. Seni lokzelgi tolia dubda mawa changmege ruru chene. Di tingsang aridbayina ariyolobina sakapto yabre. Ta di tolia tari tuzu maybe kengi things savishma to tuzu mindu tuzu nile mindu. Ti indukala theories of reading. At this point, I will again request you to look at that image with the golden key. Is this for me?
Yes.
Thank you. So now, theories of reading. Let's go to the next slide. Do not copy. Do not copy. Real education is get the information, process it. After you process it, you will have something in your own mind. That is the knowledge. Okay? That is the real knowledge. Theories. Reading theory, what it means. Phonics approach. Oh my God. I was going to ask you for that. Thank you. So let me try right now. Okay. It didn't work. It didn't work. Yeah, technology sometimes, you know. There you go. I have to click much harder. Okay. So we go to, yeah. So long as it changes the slide, it'll be so good.
You can tell me.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, so now, phonics approach. 18th century started, phonics approach. Tadi, dire, yangi ngaro. Maranzu pepe, dadwe shunglu chen chewe na, yangi ngaro. Ani, tarara chimbuchi ma, she toyagi tablam che dire, phonics. English nale na, phonetics ke sirwa, phonics approach ke sirwa. Now, 2019, I was in Dharamsala to help Department of Education to make an English curriculum for our Tibetan schools. At that time, I did a field research. We had a committee of 5, including the Education Department Secretary. So we did a field research. We went to 12 Tibetan schools. And in each school, I sat down in every English classroom. And that was mainly for data collection. Now, why do I say that? Because the Tibetan schools, they are using phonics approach. And they were using the program from Australia. It's called Jollyphonics. Jollyphonics. They're using that. It's a wonderful program, but it's outdated. Nowadays, we don't use it. In America, we don't use it. Now, technically, phonics approach is sometimes also called bottom-up approach. That means you learn A, how does it sound A, and the symbol of A is the symbol of the sound A, and you write it this way. And then, in Tibetan grammar, the same thing. Yigdu tumat dubegi sik dumat dubegi juba tumat dubegi tamju. Same thing in English. That's a traditional approach. Traditional approach. That's the phonics. Phonological awareness leading to comprehension. How to identify alphabet. Then how to put few letters together. C-A-T, cat. D-O-G, dog. And then what does that mean? Compare it with the picture of a dog or a cat. So you comprehend, understand. Comprehension simply means understand. Nothing, well, just leave it there. Just understanding, comprehension. Okay, then there's a whole language theory. It started mid-1980s. Kenneth Goleman, influenced by the linguistic theories of Noam Chomsky, Lev Vygotsky, Jean Piaget. Noam Chomsky is still alive. He's 94 years old. Okay, Noam Chomsky is a linguist. And there is Jean Piaget. Jean Piaget was a student of John Dewey. And Jean Piaget is another great educational philosopher. So what they say, whole language problem, language theory is it simply complements phonics approach. What do they add more? Believes that reading is a process of integration between the reader, the text, and the context. Emphasizes comprehension, meaning making. Now, do not copy. Do not write anything. Okay? Because I want you to get an experience of simply listening. Because when you're listening, believe me, when you listen to me, your mind is talking to you. Sometimes you're saying, what is this guy talking about? That's a stupid thing. Or sometimes you're saying, oh, that actually makes sense. Or sometimes your mind is telling you, wait a minute, this sounds like, it's like similar to something I already know. That is the process. That interaction has to be there. Because when you do exercises, the blood flows better and you get fit. When you get your mind active, it grows. Mind grows. In other words, intelligence. Namju peruyor. Katsig susu samlodi. Legatang mina. Namju peruyor. So, interactive reading theory. I want you to, we go to the second one, right? Okay, so we got the first. Okay, second. Now, I want you to pay attention to this process of integration. Okay, I got that wrong. Problem is the, it's better? I think better from here. Okay, I want you, and where's the highlighter? This one, right? Okay, this one. I want you to really look at this word, process. Process, a process of integration. Integration, dewa, delam, sudasu, kangta kangyambu dewa, between the reader, the text, and the context. Context ngi karesina 가릴로 유네 디기 식대섬 지워 마임비체 디기 지당기 전달디 자체선에 전달디 갈도 this is your context emphasizes comprehension 디레다 meaning making 디게 좀브레 if we go to the third one and the third one is blank. Okay. And the third one is, yes, is the dual route theory. Dual route theory means like the WLT, whole language theory. Okay? Just like that, emphasizes active engagement in the reading process, but they add another dimension to it. They just say something more to it. And that is the non-lexical. Non-lexical means the phonics system, the phonics way, and the lexical or the tapping into readers' prior knowledge of words and their meaning. The KWL chart, that is the lexical. The phonics, A, B, C, D sound, that's the non-lexical. So that's because of those two, it's called dual route theory. Usually, we always use both. Because when you're reading a text, obviously, you automatically, even if you don't do it intentionally, you are actually looking at each letter and how the letters are put together to make a word, how words are put together to make a sentence, and so forth. That goes so fast and so automatically. But at the same time, we also use what is known as tapping the prior knowledge, which we did. The next one, please. Fourth one, interactive reading. Reading, this is a late 20th century. Reading is a synergistic process in which the reader uses both the bottom-up and the top-down process, like the phonics and the whole language. We use both. Then there's a transactional theory. Now, this is very important. This is John Dewey. Okay, I think, yes. Reading is a continuous interaction between the reader and the text. It is based on John Dewey's philosophy that meaning is constructed in a continuous transaction between the reader and the text. Most important. When you read something, it is a process. And in that process, you are constantly constructing, means you are constantly developing, establishing meaning. And that meaning, if you ask to your next neighbor, what do you mean this? You will be surprised. It's not the same as what you think. It's different. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. All right? We'll go to the next one, fifth one. Sixth. Constructivist theory. Now, in America, educational psychologists, there are many theories, but mainly there are two. The constructivism and the behaviorism. I follow behaviorism, the John Dewey mostly. Okay? Now, constructivist theory of Jean Piaget, individual readers construct their own understanding of the text through the reading experience. It is an extension of the transactional reading of John Dewey. The seventh one, socio-cultural theory of reading. This is important. Emphasizes the influence of social factors in enhancing comprehension. Yes, I'll explain a little bit what that means. At is schema, pre-existing knowledge. Because from the time we wake up till we wake up next morning, there's always experience. There's always gain of knowledge, even in dream. That's why I said from the time you sleep till the time you get up next morning. There's always the process, continuous gaining of knowledge. And that is the schema. And that knowledge, most of it, is depending on where you are. The geopolitical, the socio-economic, every factor plays a role. in building that schema. So the same text, I have one text here called the red apple. When a student in India reads it, and a student in America reads it, a student in France reads it, totally different. The way they will construct the meaning. Because 50% of the meaning construction will be influenced by your schema, your pre-existing knowledge. Sometimes we say you see things through the lens. It's not an academic expression or word, but meaning is the same. You see through the prism of your own lenses. These are all lay people, ordinary language expression, academic schema, pre-existing knowledge. They influence. For example, when I read in America a lot about the Holocaust, the sufferings of the Jewish, my mind was always taking me back to my childhood in Tibet, how the Chinese took my dad, put him in the prison and all that. And how I walked with my mom, we came walking through the Mount Everest and reached India. While I was reading that, it was always having an impact on my schema, pre-existing knowledge. Now, we go to the next one, please. Digging deeper into constructivism, Jean Piaget, knowledge is not gained by passively taking in information. Yalem Mijeba. Last night I was trying to translate that more into Tibetan and I failed. I couldn't get more than Yalen Mijeba, but that's not a real good translation. You think about it. For the word passive. What does passive mean? Yalen Mijeba chigot mare. Passive sina, chi lobina. 로드가라 로야디 딜리아 수술이야 천왕 더 지에메와 수술 영어로 보던데 지 용어메와 근데다 용식 말와 근데 큰 용식 말와 근데 말에 했어요. It's not in a passively taking in information. 수술이 시제연의 술레 렘베티 레야 냠돌이야 렘베 체 렘베 링테 렘베 제리야 수술은 용술 지에메와 저건 용식 말와 That's the meaning of the word passive. So he said knowledge is not gained by passively taking in information. Learners construct. Logba susugi chiso susugi 문춘의 여백이 시작 연대. 딘데다 냠보 세사야 아니 단달로 셰비기 내주 사바디 라 아니 고아다 탄다. 만다지 로바보 소소소소기 중국어에서 또 뭐더래 오늘 단내지 로바보지 롱해지나 다 등문에 effective reader. Okay, passive information learners construct knowledge through experience and subsume new information into their pre-existing knowledge. It's so beautiful. The new information comes in, you mix it up with your own pre-existing knowledge. Out of that process emerges a new knowledge. Isn't that beautiful? Then knowledge has no end. Learning has no end. Okay? It is a process of mental action, reflection, and construction. 다원은 젤레디게디 용조 문유시자원이니 말이에요. 레베낭 도요래 수수 심나를 도에 내가 지면서 네 아니 통해지요 말이. 다들 꼭 그렇게 쳐야지 차기요. Mental activities we cannot show it. We cannot see it. Right? They're hidden phenomena, abstract phenomena. The next, please. If that is the case, now with those theories, what is the takeaway? Take away from these theories. Reading is a highly complex, interactive mental process. Skilled readers use cognitive strategies. I'm not saying it. The educationists, the education philosophers like Dr. Mahesh, for example, they are saying it. I'm not saying it. So it is therefore an interactive mental process. And always, to do that, readers use cognitive strategies. Now, instead of going back way, to remember, can you imagine that circle? Dr. Mahesh, do you think we can go back right there? I want to do a real quick, there you are. Now we are here. Then we need to learn some strategies. Let's go back to the now where we are. There you go. If this is the case, then what is that we have to learn? Strategy. Cognitive. Cognitive strategies means mental. Lebe nang sim kore nang soshi tabe kasore di gong에 sheba jugo mai meche. Yulu tengne tonya. Ani chawa mong cheerta. But when I use those Tibetan technical terms, gong에 sheba de yulu, we are going deep into Tibetan psychology, which Western don't have. All they have is cognitive science in this context. And if you read cognitive science, it is wonderful, but nothing compared to Tibetan psychology, how the mind works. Next one, please. I want you to take a break. Take a shoe, well. Notebook dinalia. Please draw those 9 dots. Draw 4 lines. Draw 4 straight lines and dot all the 9 holes without lifting your pencil. Tangbo? Good is ma shuna. And instruction, read the instruction very, very carefully. I'll read for you. Draw 4 straight lines and dot all the 9 holes without lifting your pencil. We have 4 minutes. And try to do it by yourself. The 9 holes, draw a straight line. Shibudi ya laba ya kya mebeche roji mal chingsriya pena dine dugina dine chi ni sum done gujalo gogo gujalo yobeji takam you have 3 minutes and 13 seconds. Three minutes, 13 seconds. Dot all the lines. No lifting the hand. Only 4. This one. Chumindo. Okay, I'll give you 1 minute extra. Stop, everybody. 1, 2, and 3. Look up to me. Look up to me. 1, 2, 3. Stop and look up to me. Look up to me. Did anybody ask a question like, why is he asking us to do this? Did anybody ask that question to yourself? You did? Why didn't you raise your hand and tell me? Because when I said, draw the 9 holes and try to draw a line with the 4, my expectation was 60% hands going up and says, why? Never, ever take for granted that what I say is right. Never, ever take for granted that what you see up there has to be perfectly right. No. always, always be critical. Now, I'll tell you why. 단답어도 내 가르치고 그랬으나 암조 퇴야 시면나 삼당에 가리 이날 소설 용서를 구할 수 있바. 내 되게 디체인 바. 가리 이네 시제기 저고 남샤 큰데 짐비네. 네 제베 링들이야 소설을 용어지 구하래스. 서로같이 구하래스. 네 중거이나 시제 톱레스. The reason is, remember earlier I said, everything has to be depending on an experience. You have to have an experience to do anything. And also, it's a mental process. The 7 theories. Now the reason is, I'm trying to show you, by doing this, you will get some taste of those 7 theories. The reading theories. All of that put together, all the 7 theories, remember the takeaway was reading is a very complex mental process, which we do so by using cognitive strategies. Okay, we want to get an experience of it. This is it. This is the experience. I'm trying to get you a little experience of that. 가리네 시제토 내가 칸디 집이네. 닐리아 섬로땅고거리스. 섬로땅에게 섬로디 찍다 섬로 찍지고 땅 말이스. 그 유림질이스. It's a process. And in that process, it's an interaction. Interaction 그들이 뭐요랬으나? You and the reader. 대표로고요나. You and the text. Interaction with you, your text you're reading, interaction with your own, the author of that reader, interaction with the social situation or condition of that period. Everything comes into that place. And the more important than that, interaction with your own schema. 랑체에서 유배기 연대지요래. 로서지요래. 신현지요래. 대단냠보 특유요래. 가리네. 다단다 디 제법간이야. If I were you, I will not talk. I will try myself individually. 다 가르치고 그랬으나 because I have no time today. Otherwise, I can show you from with this demonstration. Anyway, so dindeje lakba dusre. Duskya, you're not allowed to lift. If I'm to start from here, straight 1 line, I'll go up straight 2 line, or go straight to, but I can't lift up. 1, I have to go straight, but I cannot go like this. Got it? So now you have 2 minutes. Let's start. Continue. You're dotting the lines. Good work. It's very interesting. Very interesting. Go good. This one. Line shile yo marda, line shile. Only 4. Only 4 lines. 4 straight lines, not lifting your hand. Lakwa ya kya yo mari. Tik khari khadu chigi shi. Khadu chigi shimado yo mari. Oh, lakwa ya kya yo mari. Lakwa kya chi yo marda. You didn't get it? Who got it? Somebody got it.
Sir, sir.
Okay, I got one there. I think she got it.
You said 4 lines.
4 lines, four
One,
straight
two,
lines.
3, 4.
But all the 9 dots must be connected.
Oh.
There's one dot left, not connected. How did you do it? You started from here, right? 1, 2. We don't have a little stick or anything, right? Can I know? I think it's too short because I'm short. Okay, everybody. Start from here. Start from here, go straight up there. Then come down. Did you get it? When you come down, come all the way up to here. Then go all the way up there. Then go all the way up there and go there. Got it? Okay, let me start again. Start from here, 1 line, 2 line, come down, 3 line, go up, 4 line. Did you get it? Okay, now. All right, 1, 2, 3. Everybody, look up here, please. Everybody, look up here. Everybody, look up here. Look up here. Okay, now, Dr. Mash, please, can we go to that theories, the takeaway from the theory? No, after this, 4, 5, then, no, forward.
Next.
After the theories, okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, another one, that's it. What was the takeaway? Reading. The reading is, what was the reading today? Very simple, short instruction. Dot all the 9 lines using 4 straight lines. Do not lift your hand. That's the only text. 3-sentence text. And we read that, and he said, reading is a highly complex, interactive mental process. And skilled, if you're really, not just read that instruction, dot all the 9 lines by 4 straight lines without lifting your hand, well, you understood that. That's comprehension. But that was not cognitive comprehension because you did not use cognitive strategy. So therefore, you were not a skilled reader of that text of 3 sentences. And on the other hand, you allowed your pre-existing knowledge, the schema, to influence you so strongly. How did that happen? Can we go to the dots now, please? Okay. Your pre-existing schema was that because it looks like a concrete, very like a concentric kind of a sphere or square, you can say. So you allowed your schema to imagine that there is a boundary between the 9 lines. And the boundary is this. And you cannot go beyond the boundary. Instruction did not say. These 9 holes have no lines here. You created your own boundary. Did you get it? Yes. You create. Now, if you simply follow the strategy, draw straight 4 lines, dot all the 9 lines, do not lift your hand. Okay, 1, 2, extend it so that you get straight here. Go up, extend it. So you go there. You created that boundary, imaginary boundary outside the 9 holes. That was your schema. Your schema was not in particular with this, but in general, in this kind of situation. And you allowed your schema to rule you, to influence you. That's why I asked you a few questions. Right in the beginning, did anybody question why you have to do this? Okay? Nobody did that until I asked you. Because if you did, you were giving a real shake-up with your schema. All right, so now we'll move. We'll go to the next slide, please. Cognitive strategies, okay? Now, cognition. What is cognition? Cognition is the mental process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through thought, experience, and senses. Tokshi, direta. Around a Tibetan technical term would be tokshi. Shebajire, tokbajire. Tawana, English na hoda. Cognition is a mental process. Did a yimbra. Simki cheles the yimbra. Functions. Lakbech yomar. The nang kokyure, kokyurgichur. It's an abstract. You cannot see mental events, thought process. But it is what is known as cognition. Cognition, mental process, acquiring knowledge, understanding through, and koleandi tablamdi, thought, law, experience, nyongchur, senses, the 5 awarenesses of our senses. But this again is a deep, very complex subject in Tibetan psychology. You all can apply it. That's cognition. If you kind of explain it diagrammatically, object of knowledge. You're looking at something, you're reading something. Perception, you took it in. But don't forget, when you take this in, you get it mixed up, you get integrated, you get connected with your schema. Rangse su yebe, ngungi sheba, teta nyambo, dedore, sedore. Dine karchagre, cognition, the koasiling. That's the cognition. Rangse su yebe sheba dilia, chingobajila tebegi, shebegi yudi, susugi zindangla bebe, teta nyambo sebe jelia, susulia ta kodojungre. The kodode, kasaril, chamala chikyu yomarte. Manda yor. Tetsamdu masebe, this have a kaptelia, munjuru nyongchur social tende yongor. A real life experience. But the tonga yomar. It's an abstract event. You can see it. That dine, machin sona. Perception to action. That dine benata remojitiguna kaina. Dine, the product is always individual. When does it become exactly the same? In some education system, when you have to memorize everything. Then you go to the test and you regurgitate. Ya yongadi. Samlo lega yomare. Lo zinya jiwo, kanya jaya jiwo, ma tonyo di jiwo jikyan tongus. Tele dobe. American education system was like that. Until John Dewey, the reformer, the father of progressive education, revolutionized, not through politics, but through psychology, educational psychology, through research. Why? The reason, yes, was because of socio-political issues. Now we go to the next one. There are two types of readers: proficient readers, struggling readers. Proficient readers in the Sure, they're active readers who engage with the text before, during, and after reading. Before reading, when you did that KW chart, what I already know about this, what I want to know, that's your before reading. During reading, I give you one simple activity today, the 9 dots. We have 2 more coming, okay? And then after reading, it's very simple. Now then, there are these mental events, or invisible mental actions. Proficient readers. Struggling readers, they focus on words. Dere. 로야기 배자 가링이로 디기 식도는 치고 라 식사야 식치고 식도는 치다 라신 흉해지어레스 식도는 코나라 흉해 디기 고도랜당디 아니 배 구수도고 고야매봐 대서 마임배 수수 경우에 전에 랑도 프랑기 아니 되게 고도랜 샤베기티 동야매체 the struggling reader, the word focus on words rather than on ideas, the 9 hole. You just focus on that instructional words. Dot 9 lines, straight lines. Don't lift your hand. That's it. You didn't go beyond that. You did not ask, how can this be possible without something else? Something else was to go beyond. There's no border, there's no line. To go beyond and connect, go beyond and connect. You didn't do that. You just stayed on the words. And that's not a reading skill. It's simply a literate. You are literate. That means you can read, you can recognize the letters. You can put the words together and you can read. You're literate, but you're not a reader. To be a reader, you have to interact. You have to interact with your text. You have to interact with the author of that text. You have to interact with schema. In that process, out of that will emerge a new knowledge. The ideas, the 9 hole, the idea was simply to dot the 9 words. How you do it? The instruction simply said 4 lines. Can't lift your finger. That's the instruction. But the bigger picture, the idea, was to dot the 9 lines within the restriction of 4 lines in one stroke, in one movement. Go to the next one, please. No, this is important. The focus on words rather than on ideas. In our Tibetan literature, psychology, people who focus simply on words, sometimes they see the word. They see the words, but your attention is not there. 통거열 이게 정말 통거열 로 배지 쿠스미 로도 로열 but mind is not there nang mangi sing this one 베베기 때나리야. Next one please. Now here are the cognitive strategies. Cognitive reading strategies, few examples. 다리 가시 뭐지 망고 싫어요. Activating means activating your schema. That is before reading activity. Many times you will see, not now, not in your student life, but when you come into this world, in your life, you will sometimes have to read 20, 30 pages of things or documents. Are we going to read every word? No. We just read. That comes in the writing skill. Today we have no time. When you have that writing skill, then you know 30 pages, how can you read in 15 minutes? You just read the paragraph, the top line, or sometimes the third line. Put them all together, and you have the gist. We have a small activity today at somewhere towards the end. We'll see to it. Now, during reading activities, now this is it. Questioning, searching, selecting, monitoring, clarifying, inference. That 9-hole thing, when you read that 9-hole thing, you should have been doing all these 4 during reading. You should have been questioning, first of all, to me, why do I have to do this? What's your point? You didn't do that. Searching, selecting. Now, okay, 4 lines, so and so, but now you have to search for a strategy. There must be something else. Is this a puzzle? Is this a quiz? Is this something to do with psychology? Or is this just a joke? You should be questioning, interfering, and now after the reading, summarizing, visualizing, organizing. That will come later. We'll go to the next. Cognitive reading strategies. Since cognitive reading strategies are abstract mental actions, how can we make them visible? That did it. 공에 돌아이나다 르땡도 이나다 소소라 가이는 용조지 용대기요. 대 통해요. It's not visible. It's abstract. But how can we make it visible? 통해 유박한데 소토래. 되겠다. 답론. That yes, we have a method. Since cognitive reading strategies are abstract mental actions, how can we make them visible? How can we effectively teach learners, students, to apply these strategies? Graphic organizers. They are visual learning tools, visual organization of information. They're graphic organization. That's 9-hole there. We go to the next one. Dr. Mahesh, please, to the next one. There you go. The graphic organization is graphic the Cornell note-taking method. That's a little bit high level. And then you have KWL chart. You have T chart. What is it? For me? Wow, this is my first time in my life. T while I'm working. Okay, so here's T chart, Venn diagram, tree chart, spider web, and then you have cause and effect, text structure, etc. Now, eventually, the graphic organizer we normally use in the schools, at the universities, college levels. Eventually, when you become a very effective reader, you create your own graphic organizer. This is very useful when we are reading Tibetan scripture. If you're reading one of the great treatises in Buddhism, notebook notebook dinanglia ani chitang peje nanglia karcha dige tungone tamshayo saje de thading jamshayo 당부 니버숨 당볼이야 니버 당부 니버숨 니벌이야 당부 니버숨 tamyor yine if you use modern education when you're studying Tibetan text or Tibetan scripture, get your notebook, create a graphic organizer. In other words, a visual map. Pena lamrim ribjimina. Okay. Right in the center. Lamring Kyu Tangbo Nibusum, Kyu Tangbo, Chogoina. In the center right, the first being Kyu Tangbo. Kyu Tangbo, Chogolia, Chishia Hardo. Just idea webs. Gobajumza Hardo. Migu Hardo. Telia Karchakudo. Banglang Karchakudo. Dorje Hardo. Lenja Hardo. All the Tibetan scripture. You can just map it out. They did law become something on hot day at the same time you are taking a picture of your mental events, your mental process, that interaction that's going on. So now we go to the next one. Before reading activities, what are the examples? One we did was KWL chart. What does the title say? Now I want everybody to look at that little text called The Red Apple. There's a short story called Red Apple. Did you read it? Now, before reading activity, supposing you have to read that. Now, first thing you do is you read the title. Title The Red Apple. When you read that, please don't read the remaining. Don't go further. Just read the Red Apple. And get your schema activated. Red apple. We all know apple. The color is red. Now, apples can be sour. Apples can be sweet. Apples can be grown in many different countries. Apples also contain what kind of minerals and what kind of vitamin. If you know, activate them. Pre-existing knowledge of apple and the redness. Okay? When you read the red apple, sometimes immediately a flash comes to me, a green apple as well. That is all activating your existing knowledge about apple. Why? Believe me, when you activate like that, when you read that apple story, the red apple story, you will enjoy much better. It'll be totally different with or without activating your schema. Now, look at the picture. Apple, this one doesn't have any picture. If your reading material has pictures, look at the picture graphic. What does the subtitle say, if any? The apple, tadare. The red apple, what writing structure the author uses. This is so important. Look at your apple, the red apple. Perfect. The strategy shigi 아니 ngal sen yega segi na ngaso tjöjö di 당기면 봐. 내게 편에 용도 최시디 패지 추저 nga스다 쓰기다요. 뭐네 인다. 아니 ngan데 뭐네신 내고 용으로 봐. 안 도지된려야 잠라 그래서 전부 디 도단라 혼숨. 숨내가 봐도 그냥 수준이 나면서 건질 다다래시. 그들 강사하듯이. Everybody speaks Tibetan. 정말 긴 거로 와. 마도지 등상 하고 오면도. 학바도 구시었어. 남선 취해서 도지된 파카메 쉬비는 벽엔 경민도. 키워서 네팔리 개죠. 하고 오면도 가고르시. 그래서 세기 낭쇼아, 세기 낭네 디어래, 쪼여, 기부여. 로브종 세계의 지도가래 기부거, 김낭, 쪼낭도 쪼낭이나 로브종 세계연데 잡고요. that got a lot dim the dembe and the day and the magal mammy juni shandi. Okay, that's the next thing singing. Then make a prediction singer, dig back catch him. Make a prediction singer the mushi, Ravish, better than the red apples in the lobby na. Red, supposing if you read that, don't read it yet, but if you read the red apple, can you predict what that text is going to be about? Anybody, just raise your hand and shout it out. Can you predict what that text is going to be about? The red apple. Is it going to be about? A red apple. Yes, because that's the importance of the title. Whenever you are given something to read, always focus on the title. And if there are subtitles, read those first. If there are illustrations like pictures or diagrams or graphics, look at those. That's pre-reading activity. What that does, it activates your schema. Now, for example, okay, let's not go there. That'll take us to another topic. Make prediction, make connections, text to self, text to text, text to the world. The red apple, let's try to connect to the world. If that literature is going to be about a red apple, so why is that important? Why do you think this literature or this text about a red apple is going to be important or significant or special? In what kind of situation? In what context in the world? Anybody can think of something? There's no right or wrong answer. It's all about your own. What do you think? Oh, there you go. He went all the way to Newton. Isaac Newton. I thought he's talking about the Indian apple or Fuji apple. No, he went all the way to Newton, Isaac Newton. He sat down under a tree, an apple fell down, discovered gravitational force. There you go. So this literature, the red apple, all of a sudden became very, very important. Because something to do with Newton, Isaac Newton as well. Maybe, maybe not. So what he did was that he just widened up. He opened his mind. Look, kuyang sengjewa ngaji Tibetan term nalia. Kuyang sis. Pustoko maji sis tuwa kuyang. That is so important, to open your mind. When you read or look at a text, the title or anything, do not try to focus on the text by zooming your eyes, because then you are only focusing on the words. When you are looking at it, when I say open mind, I want you to look at it from afar. You read the red apple. When you read the red apple, I want you to raise your hands from the text and go inside. Red apple. What could this be about? The red apple. You raise some curiosity. Already you wonder it because you have a question. What do you think this red apple is all going to be about? Apple is an apple. But apple has some significant worldly connections as well, like Isaac Newton. Apple also, if you have heard this, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. You already connected with your pre-existing knowledge, schema building. So now this reading material is becoming more and more meaningful to you, interesting for you. So when you read it, you'll love it, you enjoy it, you'll get more experience. So now, for example, make connections. Let's try using a simple graphic organizer. Let's go to the next one. There you go. I will explain. Today, we have no time. You can do it at home. Okay? What I want to do is when you read the red apple, I want you to connect yourself with the text. How do you do that? as you read, okay, let me just give you one or two examples. For example, you can look at the red apple. It says, one day in March, Kitty Miller was on her way to school when she glanced into a store window and saw a great pile of red apples. Oh, she claimed, how lovely. If only Mama could have one. I would stop there. If I was reading, I would stop there and meditate. Because I already know what that red apple is all about. It's about this little girl who saw this red apple displayed in a store. Immediately she said, how nice it would be if my mama can have that apple. Now I will predict something right there. She's a poor girl. She can't afford to buy that apple. I already did my mental queries. And now, how do you do that? This reminds me of, supposing that first paragraph, that reminds me of, I will tell you, this is a real story. This reminds me of 1962 in Kalimpong, when I saw Thukpa Thendu, the pulled Tibetan Thukpa. I saw in a Tibetan restaurant, but we were so poor, we can't afford it. After many years, I kept that in mind, and then after many years, I was able to actually go in that restaurant and eat a plate of that thukpa. It cost 1 rupee. In 1962, 1 rupee is a lot of money, lots of money. I connected the text with myself. I can connect with the many, because before you were born, 1962, 1961, 1960, we had nothing. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, black tea, dry, atta phale. That's it. Phale, chadang, phale, chadang. Morning, lunch, evening. Yes, you were not born. This kind of story I can connect to half of my life. Then text to text. Well, this is really similar to maybe a book you read before, maybe a movie you saw, maybe a video you watched, something, or maybe something you heard from somebody tell you. Connection. Why? This text is similar to this. Why? Because you give the reason. Other sources of maybe other connections. Now, this text to world, this text reminds me, like the gentleman over there, the red apple. Oh, this reminds me of Isaac Newton. Sat under a tree and discovered the most beautiful thing, the gravitational force. Because 1,000 reasons you can give. Or maybe you can connect to not just the world, your own culture, your belief, your own personal life, like I did just now. The reason, again, let's not forget, the reason is always to make that reading a real experience. Then, why was the purpose? Not only just comprehension, you're able to construct much bigger meaning. Number one. Number two, when you read that way, what you have read, you will never forget. And in the context of an examination or test, you will just It's a piece of cake that the test will be. The test will be just a piece of cake. All right, let's go to the next one. Now, my initial plan was that you will read the red apple, and then you will do this one, graphic organizer, so that you can go through the process or the experience. Okay? No, oh, sorry, not that one. That's the red apple. The back one is the Maya. It's a different one. We might have time to do that. Can we go to the next one? All right. Now, almost the same as KWL chart, but now we are going one notch up. Cornell note-taking. Cornell note-taking is a water park. Water Park was a professor in Cornell University. And in 1950s, he invented this note-taking system. His most popular book is How to Study in College. And in that, he will explain his concept of Cornell note-taking. Basically, purpose of Cornell note-taking is what I have said till now, is the reading theory. He's trying to map out what's happening in your mind when you're reading, so that you get not just the comprehension, but you're able to construct meaning, and you're able to retain it. Okay? Now we go to the next one, please. And now here's another method or version of Cornell note-taking. This is the most popular. It's called the 5 R's of Cornell note-taking. Almost 90% of students in American universities use that, but not exactly that way. It's based on that, but they will change it. One thing about the American education system, one thing about the American mentality, is we do not want to do the same thing. We want to tweak it. We want to invent it. We want to create our own version of note-taking. But we will not discard the actual concept. We keep the concept. We keep the essence. How to do it? We do not want to be monkeys. We want to use our own intelligence. We'll change it. For example, Bloom's taxonomy. When Bloom invented, it was a pyramid. Nowadays, you will see anything, any kind of shape. Sometimes it's circular, sometimes it's square, but the essence is the same. The 6 steps of cognition. The concept is the same, but I don't want to use the same thing that Bloom uses it, just a pyramid. That's our American mentality. Always, we learn, we'll get the concept, but then we'll tweak it. We'll create it in the way I want it, the way it's more interesting to me, the way it is more comfortable to me. That's American mentality. Sometimes that's being creative, innovative, but sometimes it has a drawback. For example, I saw in Tibetan Buddhist centers in America, mostly run by Americans. And in that, like the Gyamdo, the refugee vow, we say Lamarja Sangyajun Cholajasu, right? We seek refuge in the Buddha, seek refuge in the Dharma, seek refuge in the Sangha. So when we come to Kendu Lajabsuchi, Kunju Harchigre, Dinali love to go, Kurans Patan, Kendu Lajabsuchi. Dindegi young Sartu the young test, which you chadashur. My Sartu Guard, Sartu Guari, Cousin social level yori, social namdu jori, the Pestan Guari. Me Shevashida said them in a pujarwa. Young Dindega Sartu the young Halakia, which you can road it to a Bra, look to Krans party, courage junior, can do like she's. All right, so now here's another Cornell taking 5 R's I'll go quickly, I'll explain what it means. Supposing I'm reading the red apple. When I read red apple, when I come to some really nice important point, for example, oh, she must be a poor girl, I'll write here the main note area. Further, I will read some really important point, jot them. When you've done that, you finish reading the text. Cover this up. Cover this note. Recollect. Think what were the important things that you jotted down. Quickly write the same bullet points. This time in your own words, not from here. Nowhere in this text says this girl is poor. Right? It doesn't say. That was my interpretation. So I will write here, a poor girl. From here, you cover this up, write in your own words. Once you got all the important words in that, here you summarize it. What is this red apple is all about? One way at the school level, not for you, at school level, how I teach how to summarize. If the students are made to read this, I'll make them to fall into 6 times. And how many words, I'll make them count. That number of words should be in the summary. That's it. It's just no reading theory, psychologist, or because of the that's my makeup. I made that up. How to summarize. Supposing 1-page text, I'll make them fall to another time, and then in one of the areas, let me count the number of words. Now, write a summary, not more than that. If you, less, also good. Write a summary. Now in full sentences. Now at the university college level, in America we say 1/3 of your original text should be the limit of your summarization. Okay? Now we go to the next one, please. And now, this was supposed to be another activity that we will do today. But what I want you to do is in your notebooks, you can just copy this graphic organizer and you can practice. Like tomorrow when you attend, is Dr. Mahesh your professor? Yes. Yeah, when he gives you lecture, in your notebook, take this. And when he gives you lectures, jot down in bullet points all the important things here. When you go home, do these too. You will never forget. Most important thing, summarizing must be in your own words, not from here. Because you're going to construct your own meaning from Dr. Mahesh's lecture. You're not going to take simply his words, but you're going to take the essence of his words, the meaning of his words, put it in your own words. That way, your experience will be different, your retention will be really powerful. You will not forget. Doesn't have to be perfect line, just boom, boom, boom. Okay? It doesn't have to be perfect line. Just boom, boom. And those measurements, don't go by that. All you need is 3 spaces. And important thing is, somewhere here, note, you can write something like notes, and here something what I just said. My own words, and summary in the corner, but don't write the word summary here because that's where you're going to write. You can put it here. Summarize or summaries in the bracket, my own words. And then, nothing secret. When you go home, Google it. Cornell note-taking method. Google it. There's ton of information. Tons. Okay? All right, we go to the next one, please. During reading activity. This time, let's practice using Cornell note-taking method. Like I said, we have no time for that. Use your notebook or sheet of paper, which you are doing it. And if you still need more information, Google it. Only thing is, remember that Cornell note-taking method. Cornell note-taking method. Then Google it, you get any information you want. We'll go to the next one. During reading again, this is actually how it is. I myself forgot. Actually, I made this. Use the 5 hours of Cornell note-taking method as you read the red apple. Use your notebook or a sheet of paper. But we have no time. Okay? But you got the idea. No matter what you do, if you're doing the Cornell note-taking, again, please get rid of from your brain that this is Cornell note-taking note. This is a magic wand. If I use this, I'll be so good. No, it's not like that. Cornell note-taking is just a method. But the important thing is, I listened to Dr. Mahesh's lecture. While he's lecturing whatever topic he's dealing with that, ask questions to yourself. Connect to your own schema. Make predictions. Oh, could be this, could be that. Just like we study in the monastery. And then, important notes, even your own important ideas coming up, jot down. Because it will stay there. If you write it down, if you jot it down, it'll be there. Otherwise, the mind is very active. It's all the time recycling. We go to the next one, please. After reading activities, make logical inferences, cite evidence from the text, make connections, create a timeline, summarize. Let's do a few activities again. I have no time for today. Actually, I had prepared few things. Now, Dr. Mahesh can also help you with this Maya. There's a little text when you read this Maya, and then I have already given you here, graphic organizer, what you have to do. Try this, it's really wonderful. What is Maya upset at the beginning of the passage? Nowhere in the beginning of the passage it'll tell you why she's upset. That is what you have to construct the meaning. If you read Mia, it will never say anywhere why she was upset, means she was angry. For example, Mia came out of the bathroom with the tears in her eyes. She ran down to the cafeteria and asked the staff if they had any rice. Fortunately for Mia, Mrs. Lucifel did. Why was she upset? Why was she so angry? When she came out of the bathroom, she was absolutely a ball of anger. Why was she so upset? Construct meaning. Read that. If you have to read that 2-3 times, read it. After reading, take your minds away from the words. If you keep your eyes on the words too much, you will just zoom in on the words and it will just become like the 9 whole connections, the 9 dots. You will create an artificial boundary between the 9 holes and you will get yourself trapped in that. Get out. Because of this came the common saying, at least in America, we say, get out of your box. Getting out of your box means do not get bogged down. Do not get influenced by your own schema. Open up. Okay? Now, if you say, okay, Mia in the beginning was upset, very, very angry because, why? Because you give a reason, right? How do you know that? How do you know she was angry? Now, I'm not going to say, oh, she got the right answer. No, because there is no right or wrong answer. It's your perception. It's your take. Okay? Try that at home. Let's go to the next one. Making logical inferences. That's what it is. Read the passage about Mia, respond to the question. Each question will ask you to make a logical inference based on the textual detail. Explain your answer. Next to the slide, please, Mr. Dr. Mahesh. Explain your answer by referring to the text. Now, after reading activities, this we'll do in 2 minutes. Go back to that KWL chart. In the beginning, please pull out your KWL chart, fill out the L column, what I learned. Have you learned what you wanted to learn? Even if you cannot do that comparison, at least do this one. What did you learn today? Only bullet points. Doesn't have to be full sentences. Now, why is this important again? It's important because you are now doing, if it was the Cornell note-taking, you're doing the last activity of recall. You're remembering what you actually learned today. Now, when I say learn today, don't try to look for exact words I used. Don't try to say, oh, cognitive strategies, there were 7 of them. No, not that way. Then you are focusing on the words. Idea. What ideas did you learn? Nenga cherviji. Sikduen jiwo memche, tanya jiwo memche. Nenga cherviji. Kare tole denga. Lokze. Kari yine, pecha kari ne chi lobe kapdele ya. Ani nyonga khande shungukudo. Nyongzor khande chegukudo. Nyongzor ji yonga chebala, an chego kardo. Samdongda khande stangukudo. Di tangmen di nenga de kardo. Diga de tiring mangu shubre. An diga di nana, sikto che. Yan desa sosu soyne dire. Gendula jab che lab nashi. Then there's another one. Supposing we were doing writing skill. We can do today. When you're writing notes, again, don't focus on your handwriting. Don't focus on spelling. When you're writing in a word, supposing you have a doubt about the word spelling, think of another word. But don't get stuck. Go with the flow of your mind. Your mind is not clumsy. Mind is fluid. Go with it. Doesn't have to be beautiful words, technical words. Just capture the idea. And after a week, if you read those kind of notes, your own notes, you will be surprised. Oh, wow, I was thinking like that at that time. You'll be surprised. Go to the next one, please. Also, you have to do a summary writing. We'll skip the summary writing, but just write, what did I learn today? That column, L column. Otherwise, we go through the first, second, third column, look at all the three columns, and then you summarize. But we'll skip that. Now, I'll give you one clue, one cue, what you learned today. You learned whatever to you it symbolizes, in whatever expression it symbolizes. The golden key to reading strategies. Tenzing Nuba, Pewachi, Sergitemi, Netting Puya Kajere. That Baju Tamana Janazre. Oh, yeah. So we go to the next one, please. Now, text structure, we will not, because if you want to do at home, text structure is this one. I don't know if I can show this here. Maybe not, because actually, you can project here, but not today, because already time up. Here, you have 6 graphic here. Okay. Any page at the back of the red apple, there are 6 short passages at the back of the red apple. Deliberately, I stapled this way so that you have to turn pages around to look for. Now, what you have to do is you have to read one passage, then go back to the back here, and that short passage is written in what kind of structure? Is it written in chronological structure, or compare and contrast, or sequence, or cause and effect, or problem and solution, or chronological? All the written literature can be any one of this. Most of the history text will follow either sequence or chronological. 당부 딘데 중물, 니바 딘데 중물, 디네 딘데 중물, 디주고 딘데 중물, 타마드 딘데 중물에 승에디 지단기 다 점주 디기 숙디. The format, the structure, it's chronological, mostly history. 다 pena tempo sheet of the 4 novel truth. The within the text loguna, it'll be cause and effect. You the dev, tindig, you yen dev, you deal it, that you deal it. The reason why I pause here is in the West, cause and effect mother can sing the concept yomare. 먼저 배배에는 유견 속에서 그러와. 유대게 cause and collaborative conditions produce the result. But in the West, they don't have that condition problem, the concept. It's always the cause, effect, cause, effect. If a text or literature, it's about, say, like a 4 noble truth. This is the suffering, what could be the cause? But in Tibetan concept, our reflective emotion is our condition. Cause, the real cause is the acquisition of this human body. It is nothing but in the nature of suffering. Then they could see cause and effect. So now you got the idea. You will read those 6 short passages and then try to identify which passage belongs to which writing structure. Now the question is why? I'm creating a cause. I'm sewing a cause. Cause is maybe I'll get an opportunity in the future to teach you something about writing skills. Writing skills has to always begin with text writing structure, because it always begins with TPA chart. TPA, topic, P, purpose, A, the audience. Always when you write anything, you have to based on that structure. What is your topic? If you're writing about that topic, what is the purpose? Is it to instruct something? Like, for example, say how to make this clay pot. If you want to write how to make this clay pot, you have to use a particular structure, writing structure. And that will be sequence. Find the clay, sip it, make it nicely, put some water, knead it, must be perfect condition, not too liquid, not too soft. Mold it, shape it into this in a spinning. On a spin, you make the shape, put it in the oven, cook it. You got a pot. That's the writing structure. That was the idea. I thought I will get 5 hours today with you, but I didn't get that. Let's go to the next one. Text structure. How many types are there? Description, sequence, cause and effect, compare, contrast, problem and solution. Let's go to the next one. Identify the 5 structures. I just told you. Read the short passages, fill out the appropriate graphic organizer for each passage. Then we go to the next one. My apology for not being able to cover the writing skills. Because of the time, if Dr. Mahesh allows, we'll have 10 minutes for question answer.
Sure.
Question answer. Any questions? Okay, then I know I failed. If you have no questions, then I failed.
So we open the floor for question answer session or observation or comment or curiosity, whatever you want to name it, whatever you want to ask, please.
Any question? Roche? Oh yeah, good.
So I will try to ask the question that you have mentioned that when you are reading, you don't go through the words. So I usually, when I used to, every time when I used to read, I firstly go through the words and flipping the dictionary and all the time go through on that. And second time, when I used to reading, second I go to phrases, phrase verb.
Mm-hmm.
And the third, I try to go through the sentence, good sentences. If I saw good sentences on that notebook,
Mm-hmm.
so I try to copy it. So
yeah.
as according to you, you have mentioned you just don't go through the words. So if I don't go through the words, so I can't get the meaning perfectly. So how will you define it?
Excellent. But that, of course, you have to go through the words. Of course, you have to read it. But the point is, don't stay focused on the words. The words, when you use the words, you are using the bottom-up method. In other words, you are just using the phonology, phonics. You're looking, oh, okay, this word, supposing, say, let's say contrast. So you see the C-O-N-T-R-A-S-T, contrast, okay? Probably you're getting the meaning as well. But if you spend too much time on that, you're focusing on the words, but you're not focusing on the idea. The reading strategy is, now, as I told you, because of your level, I cannot insult your intelligence by saying there are things called scheming and just scanning, quick reading. Those are, of course, always there. But at your level, what I'm saying, yes, read the words, but when you read the words, individual words don't focus. In proposing in one sentence, I will tell you there are only 2 or 3 words that matters. The rest is just a detail. You don't need it. Supposing in that, the red apple. The most important words in that was a red apple in a store. Wishes her mother has that apple. That's it. You don't need the other words. For now, gleaning meaning, we call it constructing meaning. But in the beginning when you read it, of course you read all that. But don't go so slow and so focused, in other words, so frozen on words. Because then you will lose the concept. Just like the 9 dots. Anybody else? Any other questions? Yes, please.
토모겐을 드시들레슈에
No,
닝에 디 리딩 스킬 좀 슈야고 펜토 선성 정원서 된 마음벌 라이팅 스킬이랑 장 겐라라고네 아니 장 레워 딩에 디워드 지단 디레기나 가르스는 아수 망차 장엔 디라 송가랑 가랑도에는 낭추에 대해서 장들이 되는 낭추 장엔 디 낭추기 토픽 망차 디레 다 experience nganso yong thoya megyote
그래,
디 schema de collect chede this collect haburo chogre dillang schema collect chede mixage yona kandichi
잘했어. 거기 가봐가네.
experience de ragyo mara experience mara di the schema collect chede kale we face difficult to collect the schemas then the schema collect
Activate schema. Right? That did I want to say yorda. Even if you are studying mostly Buddhist philosophy, let's take an example. Give me one example. Right now, what you are studying, where are you at? Okay, you're looking at Shijin Siguyuna. Okay, Shijin, if you, that entire body of Shijin, if I summarize it in one word, 가리용그래. Shut up. Wisdom. If I summarize that whole thing, now I want to go to detail. Wisdom. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Then number mandaji shi tu sungi yore. But shut up. Shil chashabina 가리용그래. Shut up. 시럽 사바, 시럽 채와, 시럽 뉴루와, 아니 가려운 거래. 라 시럽 사바. Now when you go into detail into the word wisdom, what type, what kinds of wisdom? 다 시럽 뉴루와 사바 채와. And then more detail to go. Same thing as I talked today. When you study even say a Buddhist treatise, a very important, significant treatise like Prajnaparamita. Sure. You can apply all those 7 cognitive strategies. Cognition is always the mental. Right? And wisdom. The wisdom to get, realize, wisdom to gain what? Question dirani. Now you're going to ask questions. I'm trying to study this to gain wisdom. And if I gain wisdom, to gain wisdom for what? The wisdom realizing emptiness. And what's the purpose of that? To understand the reality of nature. Now you go on. What are you doing? You're interacting with the text. Serab nyungminya mo susu but susu bena rangse suyo begi seza danya mo durdu waro. Susu ngwana thaneji experience nyonga danya mo tsen royo. Tesam gi susu gi jaya delya nyongjur gi sabadi keba yungu yore. Tesam gi susu majeba yungu re. Tesam gi susu khanglo bata khang jabe di chukru do. Any other questions? Maybe the last question? Anybody? Yes, Piri. Yeah, microphone right over there. Lose.
예 치월라다 치워주시면도 더버도 다긴 견란 손스나 단다 저 데블로인도 그 데블로인도 그 paragraph chiklo sorry 61 somlos tang orela sumi bagna 계승 어서 인도다 paragraph chiklo dila samtang de indo share na this 데블로 야라 코너 또 marks 거라도 데블로 마서라도 디로 강로 팀이나 섬
Yes. His question is, if I follow all that you talked about today, it's going to take so long, I won't be able to finish reading or finishing my course. Excellent, relevant question. Now here comes the summarization. The practice of that summarization, the practice of that Cornell note-taking is to speed up, is to put your foot on the gas pedal. Don't stay too much focused on the words. Don't stay too much listening to Dr. Mahesh. He may repeat again and again, but you just say to yourself, oh, this is what his importance is. This is his significance in your note. The rest, let him blab. You got the gist. And if you have some doubts, ask questions. Get home or in the class, while they're fresh, summarize it. You have covered 45, what's your duration? 45 minutes? 55? 40. You have covered his 40 minutes of lecture in small notes. You got the idea. You got the gist. You don't have to remember his words. His words are his words. Through his words, he's transmitting his ideas, his knowledge on a particular topic. You take note of the essence, important things. Forget about his words. If you have to write, if you have to reproduce it, write in your own words. They're more beautiful than Dr. Mahesh's words. Why? Because it's your words. It's your personal words. Because your personal words are dictated by your personal experience, by your personal perception of that particular topic. Then the next question, please. Now the next slide. Samlo, to showing.